Brandon Lawson was a 26-year-old father of 4 living in San Angelo, Texas. He was known as a hard worker, close with his family, and fiercely devoted to his children. But on the night of August 8, 2013, Brandon vanished under circumstances so strange that his final phone call would become one of the most unsettling 911 recordings in American history. That night, Brandon was driving north on U.S. Highway 277 near the small town of Bronte, Texas. It was after midnight. He was on his way to see his father when he suddenly ran out of gas on a remote stretch of road. Brandon pulled his truck over and called his brother, Kyle Lawson, asking him to bring gas. Kyle agreed and began driving toward Brandon's location. While waiting, something went terribly wrong. Brandon called 911. What he said during that call has been debated for years. In the recording, Brandon sounds frantic, panicked, and breathless. He tells the dispatcher, "Yes, I'm in the middle of a field. I see some guys running. One of them's chasing me." He also says something that has haunted listeners ever since. "I need the cops here now." The dispatcher struggles to understand him. The call cuts in and out. Brandon's voice fades. Then, silence. The call abruptly disconnects. That was the last confirmed communication from Brandon Lawson. When Kyle arrived at the location Brandon described, Brandon was nowhere to be found. His truck was still parked along the highway. The engine was off. The doors were closed. Inside were Brandon's wallet, his phone charger, and other personal items. But Brandon himself had vanished. Police were called immediately. Search teams arrived. They scoured the area using helicopters, dogs, and ground searches. But the terrain was vast, rugged, isolated. Miles of brush, oil fields, fences, and open land. No sign of Brandon. No footprints, no blood, nothing. The 911 call quickly became the center of the case. Listeners argued over what Brandon was actually saying. Some believed he said, "I see some guys running." Others believed he said, "I see some lights," or "I'm bleeding," or "I need the cops." The audio was unclear, and without video or follow-up calls, everything became speculation. Authorities suggested Brandon may have been experiencing paranoia. At the time, Brandon was known to struggle with substance abuse. Police theorized he may have wandered into the fields, disoriented, and succumbed to the elements. But Brandon's family never accepted that explanation. They point to several troubling details. First, Brandon was familiar with the area. Second, no remains were found, despite extensive searches. Third, the panic in his voice sounded real. Not confused, not rambling, terrified. Years passed. The case went cold. Then, in 2022, nearly 9 years later, human remains were discovered in the general area where Brandon disappeared. Clothing found at the site matched what Brandon had been wearing the night he vanished. In 2023, authorities officially confirmed the remains belonged to Brandon Lawson. But even with that confirmation, the mystery did not end. How did Brandon die? Why was he running? Who or what was he afraid of? And why did it take nearly a decade to find him in an area that was searched repeatedly? The 911 call still exists, still debated, still chilling. A man asking for help, convinced someone was chasing him, and then disappearing into the Texas night. Brandon Lawson's case is now considered closed in terms of identification, but the circumstances of his death remain deeply unclear. And for his family, the question still far outweighs the answers. Sometimes the most terrifying mysteries aren't about what we don't hear, they're about what we hear